is it? Let me give you one piece of advice. Be honest. He knows more than you can imagine.
At last.
Congress?
Life here in Congress would be so much easier if I simply would not read the bills. This bill creates a program, a federal tracking program, and it starts with Alzheimer's patients, autism patients, but it also includes, according to the bill, developmental disabilities, and that's broad enough that you can start including all kinds of things now that the law has been passed. There is nothing anywhere in the law that prevents a parent from having something that helps that parent track or keep track of their autistic child or child with, according to this bill, developmental disabilities. Nothing. There's nothing that keeps a guardian for using some kind of tracking methodology to keep up with someone who has Alzheimer's. Why wasn't this left then to the Department of Health and Human Services if it's really just a mental health issue? And the answer is it was left to the Attorney General, to the Department of Justice, because truth is, if it needs to expand, that's where they want it to expand, that this is strictly voluntary. But once you have a program in place, it's very easy for someone to file a petition and ask a judge, such as I once was back in Texas, here's the indications. We need an order for the good of this person, safety of the public, so that this person can be tracked. And it's not just danger to themselves. The bill talks about or caused by the patient, injury that's caused by the patient or could be. And then, despite some of my friends in Congress saying, this is really not a danger, it's nothing to worry about, I get back to the office and my staff hands me an article. Well, now in Japan, they've come up with the best way of tracking people. It's by putting barcodes on fingers. All you need is a barcode on one finger, a barcode on one toe, and then the Japanese government will be able to accurately and adequately track people they're concerned about. So I don't think anybody needs to be worried about the government having this Orwellian program, unless perhaps they're Christian, because the Civil Rights Commission thinks that people who talk about religious freedom, religious liberty, Christians that use words like evangelical, that those are the biggest threat perhaps for hate in America. Many in the Department of Homeland Security think the biggest threat for hate crimes, for destruction and death in America are from people who are veterans that may like the idea of the Second Amendment allowing them to keep guns. There are people who believe the Constitution should be literally followed, and the words that the Constitution actually says should be followed. I mean, the founders of this country would, of course, if they were around today, would be at the top of this administration's no-fly list. You believe the Constitution should be literally followed, or you believe that you should have a right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment, or you believe the 10th Amendment means what it says. Anybody that believes those kind of things is really a threat, according to some in this administration and some in what has become more of a permanent government. Administrations come and go, but we've got liberals that are so tolerant they want to take away the rights of anybody with whom they disagree. The blacklist experts They talk about blacklists of the 50s, and they go beyond anything that the 50s may have had in store. My understanding, I was told that in the Senate, it was likewise breezed through. Somebody went on the Senate floor when other senators weren't there, maybe two people or so, and said, I ask unanimous consent that this bill be passed. Hearing no objection, so ordered. Not much of a vote. We didn't even have a hearing in committee. We didn't, where we bring witnesses, talk to experts, talk to people involved, see what the problem is, see if the cure is worse than the problem. And we didn't have that. We didn't have constitutional experts talk about the indications for our future freedom. There just was not enough attention paid to this bill, and it breaks my heart, and I'm not kidding, I'm not being sarcastic. And I'm afraid because of the bill's passage today, and I'm sure the president will sign it into law, we get to track people we're concerned about in America. Maybe we'll use a barcode. If we can have the Attorney General, in his opinion, find that a subcutaneous chip implant is non-invasive, then we could do that. But maybe the barcode would be better than a chip. But anyway, we've passed the program. One day they'll be remembered as the ones who quietly pushed this bill through that allowed a federal government to begin tracking for the first time. Perhaps someday we'll have a Congress, before it's too late, that will back up and say, wait a minute, we are not going to be funding with federal taxpayer dollars a tracking system for American citizens. I can guarantee you the program will ultimately be used to involuntarily place tracking information on people.
Welcome, Neo. As you no doubt have guessed, I am Morpheus.
It's an honor to meet you.
No, the honor is mine. Please, come, sit. I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed in the morning. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. The show you.